How do you kill yourself after each checkpoint? Because it makes it so that the screen at the end where it tells me how many boxes I missed doesn't happen. That's also why the US version is faster for any percent, even though the Japanese version is faster for 100%. Because the Japanese version can't skip that screen. Sub 120 will definitely be your all-time goal for Crash 2. I definitely think with time you could push it even further than that climbing. But that is a very good, like, long-term goal to go for. I feel like that's the long-term goal for a lot of people. Like, that was my long-term goal for the longest time. I'm doing alright. Got kind of bored of Crash 3 after I died in Eggy Plus. I was like, eh. So I switched to this, and I actually had a pretty decent run, and then I lost like 2.5 minutes on Island 3. So, I'm going again. Nah, I wasn't self-advertising climbing. You're fine. Self-advertising would be if, like, you're like, I'm going for 120 and I stream every day at this time at twitch.tv/that. That would be self-advertising. But just saying like you're going for a goal, that's not advertising. Because at that point, you're like not asking. You're not asking people to follow you or watch you at that point. You're just saying what you're gonna do, and then if anybody's interested, that's on them. Crash to 100% is a really good run. I just wish it didn't piss me the fuck off. But I guess when I've run it for so long, and then like I'm trying to improve my movement, which makes everything really rough, like it's aggravating. Yo, J-Man. I've been live for 2 hours. Boom down small. Boom down bad. You're right. Yeah, Papu and OG is 3 hits. They pulled the 5 hits thing from the Japanese version. That day was pretty good. It was actually the first full week of work I've done in a bit, so kinda glad to be at the end of it. The funny thing is that he's got 5 hits in NST, but he's easier in NST. Maximum pig zag. Hog is great in NST. It's roughly the same in both. He runs forward and you move left to right. Okay, I guess that's the one we're missing. Guess we're missing 2. Fuck this game. Time. Really weird momentum. Tried to turn around because I knew that was way too early. Someday I won't die in native. I feel like I can make that. Crash 1, I definitely think is an acquired taste. I actually think it's a really good game. I think it's both versions. I think are the best, some of the best games in the series. Like I think it's got really phenomenal platforming, but it is definitely a very rough around the edges game that shows its age more so than 2 and 3 do. Probably shouldn't have spun there. Asking for my jump to drop. Yeah, no, I get you, J-Man. I completely understand when people are frustrated or just don't enjoy Crash 1. I completely, 100% get it. It's also like, I've always liked Crash 1, but it is definitely the game in the trilogy that I gained more of an appreciation of the older I got. Lives. Honestly, I think Crash 3 adds problems that Crash 2 didn't have. Crash 3 is one that's grown on me more in like recent years. But I think overall it's probably still my least favorite of the three. Although it's really close between it's close between 1 and 3. I would say 2 is definitively my favorite of the trilogy. It's also just one of my favorite games in the series. I did not know that climbing, but that's pretty neat. That was terrifying.
Bandicoot power!
Thanks for the gift sub, Sparrow. Yeah, rip the 69, but to be honest, I'd rather have the other funny number. There's always that one level or two. Are you implying that there's no absurdly frustrating level in 3? Because I can name several. There's probably more. Honestly, there's more levels in 3 that aggravate me than 2.
What have I got?
Honestly, I'm gonna try death abusing on this checkpoint and see what happens. Apparently that's like better if you're like super cracked. So 21 on the Insanity Beach jumper. That's really good, I think. If I remember Insanity Beach correctly. But I can't damage him with this flame, so wasn't worth it.
What have I got? Oh, honey, goody, goody.
I guess that's where it's faster, as long as we catch that cycle at the end. I mean, Crash 1 and 2 are also fun. Do I use R1 or circle to slide? I use R1. I've always used R1 since I was a kid. The only games where I don't use R1 are Twin Sanity, where I don't have a choice because only circle is slide in that game, and Twalk, where because the movement tech is literally just sliding, I find it more comfortable to just press circle over and over compared to R1. Also on Xbox, you don't have a choice for Twalk either. Purposely changed the circle because it's slide neutral spin. So it's neutral slide spin, and the fact that some people call it neutral slide spin actually aggravates me because it's a case of trying to fix something that wasn't broken. But honestly, I think neutral slide spin's easier with R1. But like it's preference at the end of the day. That's fair, J-Man. My logic with R1 over circle is that if you use circle, then like, then your thumb is sliding, spinning, and jumping, like it's doing all of that. Whereas if you slide with R1, then at least your index finger is taking part of that effort. I find it just much easier to use R1. But again, at the end of the day, it's a matter of preference. What was that glitch I just did? If Crash is on a certain like x-axis and he spins when he gets pushed by like the pushers, instead of falling in, he'll just like get wedged into the scenery, and then you can just jump to the top and just walk out of bounds. And the x-axis you want to be on just happens to be the axis in which you spawn in. Yeah, on the whole neutral slide spin versus slide neutral spin. Neutral slide spin is what it's like been called historically, like from like the oldest runners and like just the majority of the community. Slide neutral spin took off because that's what Boom Fan calls it. Oh wait, I was not supposed to zigzag there. And the reason he calls it that is because, hold on. He calls it that because the inputs you do in order are slide, go neutral, and then spin. So slide, neutral, spin. So there's an argument that that is technically more correct. But in my opinion, neutral slide spin is just as correct if you interpret slide spin as one thing, because a slide spin is a spin that you do during a slide. And that's how I've always interpreted it. So it's a neutral slide spin. So it's a slide spin you do while your directional input is neutral. Which is why slide neutral spin annoys me, is because it is attempting to fix something that did not need to be fixed. And that just causes more confusion. Because then you have like new people come in. God, what is going on with Sunset? You have new people come in and like, you know, you have some people in the community call it neutral slide spin, and you have other people call it slide neutral spin, and you're just like, well, what the fuck is it? Like, even, okay, so, and then even like hypothetically, let's say neutral slide spin was actually just not accurate. That did not accurately describe what it was supposed to do. It still does a good enough job of explaining what it is. It's a slide spin you do while you are neutral. Like, yo, Naga, thank you for the good luck. It's like, honestly, I think there was more of a reason to change the name for Hob Sliding. And even that, like, when I tried to push for that, that didn't happen, just because the HD community as a whole was just used to Hob Sliding by that point, and everybody knew what it was, so there was no point in changing it and confusing people. All the minecarts today. Let's not lose a minute in heavy machinery, yeah?
What have I got?
In hindsight, I wish we had thought of a better name for Hobbs sliding sooner, because the amount of fucking drama that is unnecessarily shown up just because it's called Hobbs sliding is so stupid. Like, actually. Why is it called Hobbs sliding? Because J. Hobbs found it. But here's the thing. I still see people occasionally give J. Hobbs shit for naming a movement tech after himself. But here's the thing. He didn't name it. He didn't want it to be called Hobbs sliding. His community called it that, and nobody else thought of a better name before it stuck. And that's why it's Hobbs sliding. But I still occasionally see people give him shit, be like, "Oh, well, you named the movement tech after yourself," and like, no, he didn't. That was everybody else's fault. And then like, there's a bunch of fucking like old boys who are like so upset that it was called Hobbs sliding. They're like, it's so stupid. You can name like a trick after a runner, but naming the primary movement tech of your game after a runner is just dumb. It should accurately describe what the movement tech is. And these were the fuckers who tried to call Mach Tornado Abduling because Abdul found it. Hypocritical as shit, dude. They only did that because they didn't like J. Hobbs. That was the only reason they cared.
What have I got?
Thank God I thought of Mach Tornado in time. I don't even know how I got that mask. That's like my biggest mark on history in NST, is I fucking named Mach Tornado. And honestly, I'm proud of that. I'm happy with that being my lasting legacy. The guy who named Mach Tornado. Oh, also I had world record in Crash 2 NST for a while. No, not a big deal. Just ignore the fact that I was like the most dominant NST 2 runner during the PS4 days. That's not relevant.
What have I got?
Time everywhere, man. Vortex jam. Virus. Fuck! You're good? That's good. I'm glad to hear that. This is weird comfort for you watching old games you played fast. Watching a game be speedrun is so sick. Because you see things that happen that you didn't even think were possible. It's always why, like, whenever I see that people are like, oh, well, speedrunning's so fucking stupid. Why don't you just enjoy the game the way it was intended? I'm like, okay, but, like, have you seen a speedrun? Shit's fucking wild. It's like whenever people are like glitches are stupid and take no skill, and I'm like, yeah, sure, some glitches are really like effortless, but like, damn, have you seen some of the crazy shit that can happen in games? You watch a Twin Sanity 100% speedrun and tell me that takes no skill. Like, holy fuck, dude. It is currently 1:30 a.m. for me. Oh yeah, absolutely, Wisdom Boy. It's just a vocal minority that like doesn't actually mean anything. But goddamn, are they vocal? That backward snipe is a thing for like no reason. The closest I've ever had a PB in Sob in any Crash game. My Crash 2 NST any percent PB on PS4 is within 1 minute of my summon best. And that's also the best run I've ever done, in my opinion. But I suicide after every checkpoint. Well, not after a checkpoint. It gets rid of the screen at the end of every level where it tells me how many boxes I miss. Have I ever speedrun any Spyro games? I've speedrun Spyro 1, both the original and the remake. Ooh, Stormy Ascent. This is slippery climb, bro. Someone pulled the fire alarm again. Enough. All right, but here's my next thing. Stormy Ascent's great. Yeah, apparently pulling the fire alarm is a very common occurrence in this building, and so that's gonna be fun. With. Never work. Both Stormy and Slippery Climb scare you. Understandable. Both very hard. I feel sorry for Coco. I mean, I can barely hear it in my room. The main bell is in the hallway, and that's loud as fuck, and I can hear that, but it's very faint, so it's probably not bothering her. No, it was pulled yesterday also. Apparently it was also pulled while I was away for the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. You can either emulate and get a cheat code to do Stormy Ascent, or you can put that cheat code into a Game Shark. Both of them work, and I would definitely recommend looking into doing, because OG Stormy Ascent's really cool. See, they should probably do something about people pulling the fire alarm like this, because what if there's actually a fire emergency and nobody does anything about it?
What have I got?
Deal with the mask here. This is basically like the Firefly levels in 2 and 3, except it's more primitive, so Aku Aku is your light instead. It's my favorite level in OG Crash 1. I guess saying Stormy Ascent would be cheating, because it's not accessible. Probably Sunset Vista, to be honest. I like Pain and Misery. I enjoy a challenge. Gonna work. Just let a gold relic run kick your ass. Definitely not easy. I should so be dead. No. I honestly find that more often than not, the hardest levels in Crash games are usually among the best. Because more often than not, they're not hard for bullshit reasons. There are some that are hard for bullshit reasons, and those ones are not fun. But like the ones that are just legitimate challenge that reward you for knowing how to play Crash Bandicoot, those levels are fantastic. And I love those. If I blow a 1.5 minute lead, where the only level left is the lab, I'm gonna be sad. I mean, yeah, I imagine the relic is annoying, but I'm not really judging the level based off of its time trial. Yo, Andromeda, thanks for the good luck. Future Tense is really good. I love that level. Apparently, I'm the only 108 runner that does. To be fair, on the PC version of NST, Future Tense has a fairly consistent crash if you're speedrunning it. Not fairly, it's completely consistent. And I guess some hatred for the level is born from that, but then I'm like, well, if you ignore the crash, it's still a really good level. But then people are like, no, even without the crash, I think the level sucks. And I'm just like, nah, fam. Cortex Castle in 4 is amazing. Like, my favorite level in 4 is Toxic Tunnels. The Cortex Castle is also definitely up there. My 3 favorite levels in 4 are probably Toxic Tunnels, Crash Landed, and Off Balance. Oh my god, that was stupid of me. One fucking checkpoint.
Done! Crash Bandicoot.
Darn, Crash Bandicoot. Thank God they give you masks in OG. This Cortex sounds so sophisticated. He kind of does, honestly. I definitely think Lex Lang and Clancy Brown are better for Cortex, but I have a soft spot for Brendan O'Brien's.
What can I say? I'm a natural.
There was something that was bad somewhere in this. Oh, Native Fortress. Native Fortress and like kinda Road to Nowhere. Mostly Native Fortress. Oh, Sunset Vista. Yeah, Native and Sunset I think were the bad things. Other than that, it was pretty solid actually. I think I had one death in Heavy Machinery. Barely 23rd place. Gaming. Games I've played. There we go. That's a nice 6th place jump. Yeah, I definitely think I can get a 44 in this, but I don't know if I want to do that right now. It was just nice to get this out of the way because this is kind of like one of those runs that's lingered in the back of my head. I'm gonna make sure the building's not on fire. So I'll be right back.